What's going on, everyone? Today's October 31st, and I believe it's Halloween. So happy Halloween, everyone. We're going to talk about something that's making a lot of headlines and has got the entire industry buzzing, and that is NIO's third generation ES8 production ramp. But here's something that we're also going to be discussing. We're going to be pulling back the curtain on just how brutal it is to manufacture electric vehicles in 2025. Because while everyone's celebrating delivery numbers, there's a silent restructuring that's happening across the entire industry that no one's talking about. This isn't just about understanding one car company. It's about understanding how a company is moving from a survivability mindset to a profitability mindset, and why that journey is way harder than the headlines are making it seem. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright, so let's start with the headline that everyone's buzzing about. The all-new ES8 just hit 10,000 deliveries, and they did that within 40 days of launch. Now, for context, this is China's fastest pure electric model, priced above 400,000 Ren to reach that milestone. We're talking about a $57,000 plus SUV competing with traditional luxury brands, and it's moving. That's significant. But here's where I want you to pay attention, because the real story isn't just the delivery number. It's what's happening behind the scenes with production. On September 20th, NIO launched this third generation ES8 at NIO Day. Deliveries started literally the next day. By day 2 of availability, they're sold out of their entire annual production capacity of 40,000 units. If you're ordering one today in China, you're waiting until April 2026. That's a 6-month wait time. Now, demand is clearly there, but here's the tension. NIO's management said back in September that they'd hit 10,000 units of monthly production capacity in October, but that milestone of 10,000 cumulative deliveries in 40 days tells us October production didn't hit that target. So what's the play? According to Ma Lin, NIO's assistant VP of brand communications, November production capacity is jumping 70% compared to October. Then in December, they're pushing even harder to break past that 15,000 unit baseline. So here's my take. You've got textbook scaling challenges. There's massive demand for the product. There's no arguing that. You've got customers that literally have pre-bought 40,000 units of these things. But the issue is with how fast NIO can build them. And here's where NIO is separating themselves from the just another EV startup narrative. They're not just trying to survive anymore. They're trying to solve the hard problem. They're trying to scale capacity without compromising on quality. Because remember, over 30% of ES8 buyers are coming from traditional luxury brands. We're talking about the BMWs, the Audis, the Mercedes, you name it. These aren't people who can tolerate quality issues. NIO made a critical decision here too. On September 29th, they announced that they would prioritize the 100 kilowatt hour batteries packs for the ES8s over their battery swap stations. So translation is plain and simple. They're making trade-offs. They're saying we need to get these cars in customers' hands faster, even if it means slowing down the infrastructure expansion, which, if you know NIO, that's their moat and that's the key to their business. That's financial discipline. That's execution under pressure. And honestly, that's the kind of decision making that shows me that this company has matured past the burn cash to grow at all cost phase. Now let's talk about something that's not making headlines, but is absolutely reshaping the EV industry. The quiet death of shopping mall showroom. Here's what's happening. If you walk into a high-end mall right now, places like the Baoshan district, you'll notice something. NIO stores are closing. ZG Auto stores are closing. The car dealership in a luxury mall trend that Tesla pioneered back in 2013, it's reversing. And the reason is devastatingly simple. It cost about 5 million Ren, roughly 700,000, to operate one of these stores for just 2 years. So let me break down the math for you, because it helps further explain where the industry is going. A typical showroom in a fast tier Chinese city. Annual rent is $280,000 to $500,000. The labor cost for 7 to 10 employees is $100,000 to $200,000 per month. Property management, utilities, operations, those all add another chunk. So you're looking at around 5 million Ren spend every 2 years just to keep the lights on. And here's the kicker, these showrooms typically can't afford to do full after sales service. They're purely for display, sales, and test drives. So you still need separate service centers in addition to these showrooms. So let's talk about NIO's famous NIO House in Beijing. That's the one everyone talks about frequently because of its $11 million annual rent. 80 million ren over time. That's not a showroom, that's a statement, but statements are expensive. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not saying these showrooms were a mistake. In fact, I'm saying they served a massive purpose. When NIO, XPeng, Li Auto were unknown brands, putting a store in luxury malls next to Gucci or Louis Vuitton sent a psychological message. We're not a cheap EV, we're a premium technology product. But here's the reality check. NIO's Q2 2025 sales, general and administrative expenses dropped by 9.9% compared to Q1. Why? Well, personnel costs and marketing expenses decreased due to comprehensive organizational optimization. Translation, they're cutting costs in non-essential areas. Li Auto did the same thing, expenses down 9.4%. In the first half of 2025. The entire industry is realizing we can't burn money on prestigious locations forever. We need to be profitable, not just visible. So what's replacing the showrooms? The suburban integration centers and partnerships. Tesla started this shift in 2022, closing mall stores and moving resources to lower cost suburban locations that can actually handle display, test drives, and delivery all in one place. XPeng launched their Jupiter plan in 2023, gradually replacing direct sales with the dealer model. And here's why this matters for NIO specifically. Now they're doing the same optimization. That store in the Baoshan district, it's closed. NIO's response was, we have several other experience centers within the same geography that can meet customer needs. This isn't a retreat, this is efficiency. Because here's the thing, when you're in survival mode, you spend whatever it takes to create brand awareness. But when you're moving towards profitable, sustainable growth, you start asking, is this $5 million showroom generating $5 million in value? And oftentimes, the answer is no, especially when foot traffic overlaps. When customers can just as easily visit a suburban location, and when your brand is no longer unknown. One store manager put it clearly, under the direct sales model, the store management costs for the OEMs are just too high. Here's my perspective. This is NIO entering a new phase. They're no longer scrappy. They're not the underdog fighting for visibility anymore. They're a company with 10,000 plus ES8 deliveries in 40 days, sold out production for 6 months, and customers waiting until April 2026 to get the vehicle that they bought. They don't need an $11 million rent showcase anymore. What they need is disciplined capital allocation that leads to sustainable profit. I want to zoom out for a bit now and talk about something that's happening industry-wide, because there's a cautionary tale that every EV company is watching closely. On October 31st, literally today, Li Auto issued an urgent recall of 11,411 mega vehicles, and the reason was insufficient anti-corrosion performance in the coolant that could cause thermal runaway of the power battery. In extreme cases, that means fire. This came right after the Li Auto Mega caught fire on an elevated road in Shanghai on October 23rd. The vehicle was completely destroyed, though thankfully the 2 occupants escaped. Now Li Auto's CEO Li Zhang said this was a voluntary recall and that they couldn't wait for investigation results. An accident may be 1 in 10,000, but life is only once. Here's why I'm bringing this up in the context of NIO's production ramp. Quality control at scale is hard. When you're building 2,800 ES8s in September and you're trying to ramp to 10,000 in October and 15,000 in December, every single vehicle needs to meet that same safety and quality standard. You can't just compromise just to hit volume targets. And the regulatory environment is getting stricter. China's new national standard, GB 3831 2025, which goes into effect July 1st, 2026, is being called the strictest safety threshold in history. 24 testing standards. Thermal diffusion tests now require 2 hours without fire or explosion, up from 5 minutes. Bottom impact tests for the entire battery. Short circuit tests after 300 fast charging cycles. This is the industry saying we're not tolerating shortcuts anymore. If you want to sell high density batteries with ultra fast charging, you better prove that they're safe under extreme conditions. And here's my point, NIO prioritizing the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack for their ES8. That's not just a logistics decision, that's a quality decision. They're saying we're going to control what we can control, ramp methodically, and not cut corners to hit arbitrary delivery targets. Because in September, pure electric large 3-row SUVs outsold range extended. NIO's winning in their category with a pure electric strategy. But they can only sustain that if every ES8 that rolls off the production line is bulletproof in its quality. Alright, so here's my thesis. NIO's transitioning from survival mode to profitability and sustainable growth. Profitability, if they achieve it in Q4, is just the beginning. Because the real questions are, can they scale to 15,000 ES8s per month in December and sustain that in Q1 2026? Can they maintain quality as they ramp? Remember Li Auto's recall? Can they optimize their cost structure without losing the brand premium? That's the showroom closure bet. And lastly, can they prove they're not a one-hit wonder with the ES8, but a company that can launch multiple successful models? I'm bullish on NIO. I've been clear about that, but I'm bullish because I see the maturation happening. This isn't the same company that was burning cash with no clear path 2 years ago. This is a company that sold out 40,000 units of a vehicle priced above other vehicles in its class, is ramping production capacity 70% month over month, is cutting costs strategically without slashing luxury brand positioning, and is making hard trade-offs. Batteries into the cars over building new swap stations. That's financial discipline. All right, everyone, it's October 31st, 2025, Halloween. Happy Halloween. NIO's ES8 is ramping, the industry is restructuring, and we're watching a real-time case study about how you go from surviving to thriving in one of the world's most cutthroat industries and one of the world's most cutthroat markets for this industry specifically. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you click the notification bell icon so you don't miss another one. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. All your engagement really does go a long way in helping out the channel, and share the video as well. Let's get this information out to a broader audience and serve more people. Happy Friday, happy Halloween. This is Obi with the Courtside Financial Podcast, signing off. Thank you.